make it feel like it's the arcade when we're playing Pixel Island till the day breaks. We'll keep breaking down, there's something next to play. Big change, the score is rising as the screen fades. Ain't over when you stay. Now who's that saying they're the pinball wizard? He moves too slow with his grubby little fingers. Keep pressing buttons and see what gets triggered. I'll just smile and watch him reconsider again.
Woo! This is The Fight Guy. I'm Guy. UFC Vegas 109 wrapped up just over an hour ago. I'm going to break down the entire card. I'm including all the highlights, all the finishes. There were 4 performance bonuses handed out tonight. Not a single fight of the night for some reason. The UFC and their no wallet having ass didn't want to whip out a little extra cash for these broke, starving, basically Vietnam vets. Most of these guys in the UFC are one fight away from being a homeless veteran, pretty much on the streets. But, you know, the UFC knows best. UFC 319 next week, a stacked card. We'll break that down in the next day or two. And without further ado, let's just get right into the card. Which I did really good on predictions. All right, I went 10-2. If I didn't goof around, I would have went perfect. But I wanted to go with Hill just because she's 40 and she did it once. That was kind of a no-brainer pick to go with Lucindo. I went with Hill. I wanted to see something special. We didn't get to see it. And I thought Brundage would win his fight, which I got wrong, and we'll start with that fight. Cody Brundage took on Eryk McConico, in which he lost a split decision in the eyes of the judges. I saw Cody Brundage as the winner of this fight. I rewatched it, all right? I caught the end of it. When I first watched this card, you know, I had a belt ceremony today for jiu-jitsu, so I was a little bit late. I caught the very end of the third round for this fight. I caught most of the third round. So I rewatched the fight after the card wrapped up. So I knew what the decision was in my mind. I saw some of the tweets. I saw there was some backlash, people saying robbery. All right, I take that, you know, with a grain of salt. And then I watched this fight. I watched this fight after the card wrapped up, and I thought Cody Brundage clearly won rounds 1 and 2. Maybe you can give McConico round 1. He did. Cody Brundage faced adversity early on in this fight. We'll just start breaking it down. Cody Brundage got knocked down about 10, 15 seconds into this fight, in which he recovered very well, in my opinion. He was controlling most of the grappling exchanges this fight. When he wanted it to go on the ground, almost half the time it would go on the ground. But I did not notice this fight was at light heavyweight. I thought this was at middleweight. And there's no excuse for me there. I mean, I went through the exact ESPN, you know, roster here, and I just glanced over it. I don't know what the fuck Cody Brundage is doing at light heavyweight. If I was his mom, I would have slapped him 14 times. There's not a single person in the top 15 Cody Brundage can beat in the light heavyweight division. But he looked pretty good against a legitimate light heavyweight. With that being said, I thought he won this fight. I really did think. I thought Cody Brundage won this fight. I don't think we should cut him from the UFC. I don't think, at the same time, I don't think he could beat a single person in the top 15 in either middleweight or light heavyweight. But I thought he won this fight, and you can't cut him after a bad scorecard, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe if I rewatch it, I watch it a third time, maybe I'll think differently. But I thought Cody Brundage clearly won rounds 1 and 2 with takedowns and control time, and you know the strikes that he landed in the second. I thought the second round was a no-brainer for Cody Brundage. The fact that 2 judges gave the second round to McConico was vile. Not really much else I want to say. It was a great win for McConico, I guess, if you want to say that. But I thought this was a bad decision on the judges' scorecard. It was a close fight, though. It was a very close fight. Good win for Eryk McConico, you know, beating Cody Brundage, an experienced UFC guy on paper. I thought Cody looked okay for being a middleweight. But yeah, you can't cut Cody after this. I don't know. That was just a really weird fight. I don't want to talk about it that much more, but I went with Cody Brundage to win. I thought he won. Maybe that's why I picked him, and maybe I was watching the first and second rounds. Let me know in the comments what you thought about that fight. I'm very intrigued to understand what some of you other people thought about this fight. We'll move on to the next one. Gabriella Fernandes took on Julija Stoliarenko. All right, Gabriella Fernandes won this fight 29-28. Stuffed most of Julija's takedowns. Julija had control time against the cage, in which didn't really matter for much. It says she landed 64 total strikes. Her strikes just didn't have a whole lot of power in them, I felt. You know, Julija did throw a good amount of leg kicks. She landed 20 out of 24, but Gabriella Fernandez was in the driver's seat this fight. She did exactly what she needed to do to win 2 rounds. One judge did give her 3. I gave her rounds 1 and 3. I don't know. I don't really care. It wasn't a great fight. Julija is 11 and 10 and in the UFC, so let that sink in. Okay, so now that these first 2 shit fights are out of the way, we'll move on to some actual good fights. Uros Medic took on Gilbert Urbina in a very quick but very entertaining welterweight bout. Uros Medic was, it looked like he was going to get finished early on there. He got knocked down, but he got back up and finished Gilbert Urbina. I'll add the clip in here. You could see it. Quick fight, not much to say. About 10 total strikes were landed this fight, so these guys wasted no time. They got right after it. I love to see it. Uros Medic, great knockout win. Gilbert Urbina, I really want to like this guy, but he's 7-5. I don't think he's won a fight since finishing The Ultimate Fighter. He's won 1 fight since finishing The Ultimate Fighter. Okay. Well, that tells that he's won in his last 5, and how many of them went to decision? He's won in his last 5. Not a single fight went to the 3rd round. So he's an entertaining guy to watch, but to be taken seriously, he needs to show an ability to win a fight. Okay, he needs to, not always be the entertaining guy. Show that you can go to a decision. Maybe not win the decision, just show you can go there in the UFC. So great win for Uros Medic. It was a cold knockout. Love to see it. We'll move on to the next fight, in which was another cold knockout. Joselyne Edwards took on Priscila Cachoeira. Priscila, we'll start with her. She was in Joselyne's face. She was pressuring her. Honestly, the downfall of Priscila is she just leaves way too many openings on her feet. She's not afraid to get hit. And not that you should be afraid to get hit. You're not going to have any progress as a professional mixed martial arts fighter. But you can't not care about being hit at all, because somebody's going to flatline knock you out like Joselyne Edwards did. We'll add the clip in here. She looked good. She mixed it up pretty well. We didn't get any... she did shoot a couple takedown attempts, but we didn't get any grappling control time from either of these girls. But Joselyne Edwards mixed it up pretty well in terms of her targets. She landed 5 leg kicks. She went to the body 5 times. She went to the head over a dozen times, landing over 26 significant strikes in a very short fight, ending in the 1st round. Joselyne Edwards walked away with it. I can't remember if I think I said she'd win a decision. I might have said she'll knock her out. I don't know. I don't care. I went with Joselyne Edwards to win. I think most people did. She was a heavy favorite. Great win for Joselyne Edwards. We'll move on. This was fucking wild. My first UFC event I ever went to was in Austin, December 2nd, I think, of 23. And we were blessed with 2 slam knockout wins. And we haven't seen a lot of slam knockouts since. Elijah Smith changed that against Toshiomi Kazama. Elijah Smith with a round 1 slam knockout. Toshiomi locked up a triangle, but he didn't hook the leg. So whenever he got lifted, he was kind of up. He was in fuck city pretty much. He got slammed. Elijah Smith, I will say this. I guess, I'll break down the fight and then I'll get into this. Elijah Smith was just dominant. He was in the driver's seat everywhere this fight went. He landed good ground and pound. I don't think he shot a single takedown. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Toshiomi shot a takedown. Elijah Smith ended up on top. I looked down for a second. Elijah Smith was on top. I think he swept him. He was in control the entire time. Toshiomi had plenty of opportunities to escape. This entire round 1 was pretty much on the ground. Toshiomi did not want to take the opportunity to get back up. He went for a couple leg locks against Elijah Smith. He was playing the ground game a lot. He was in deep half guard, trying to swim under the legs, avoiding some of the ground and pound. But Elijah Smith, all of those shots pretty much were on the ground from the top position. He was landing some nasty damage on Toshiomi. Toshiomi thought, he said, all right, I had enough. I'm going to lock up a triangle. I'm going to choke you out. All right, jiu-jitsu's Japanese. I'm Japanese. This is in my blood. I'm going to put you to sleep, Elijah Smith. Elijah Smith says that jiu-jitsu don't work. Derek Lewis, Rampage Jackson style, picked this guy up and slammed him on his head. Now, Elijah Smith, you'll see the video. I'll play it on the TV here, but Elijah Smith put his hand right on Toshiomi's chin. Then he slams him down, but it looks like Elijah's forehead headbutted Toshiomi after he slammed him down. So I wouldn't be surprised if this win I don't know if this win could get taken away from him. If I was Toshiomi, I would pursue the commission on getting this fight overturned. But Elijah Smith beat the dog shit out of him. I mean, everywhere, every position. Just Toshiomi had no answers for it. However, he did headbutt KO him, and that's what I saw. Maybe I saw a bad angle. I watched it a couple times. I saw his forehead make clean contact, and Toshiomi was down for a while after that. You know, it wasn't one of those knockouts where, you know, they lay down for a few seconds, he gets up. Maybe after the commercial break, he's standing back up. Like, we got back from commercial, and he was still laying down, which isn't a good sign. You don't like to see that. Even if it's a fighter you don't like, you don't want to see him, like, lose years off of his life or, you know, suffer a permanent damage like that. So great win from Elijah Smith. I don't want to take that away from him. It was it was a crazy slam. That shit gives me PTSD. But you can't, you know, that the headbutt, they have to be very careful there. That, you know, that headbutt could get that win overturned from Elijah Smith. But great win. Guy's a freaking crazy prospect. I can't wait to see what he does in the bantamweight division. This division is so stacked. We just had Bryce Mitchell last week, but whatever, we'll move on. Last fight featured prelim bout. Julius Walker took on Raffael Cerqueira in what I believe should have been fight of the night. Am I going to say fight of the night? Is this one fight of the night, or was there another fight of the night? Miles Johns, Gene Matsumoto could have been fight of the night. Yeah, okay, we'll get there. Julius Walker versus Raffael Cerqueira. Julius Walker in his first real fight in the UFC. Okay, he did take Alonzo Menafield on like a 10-day or 6-day notice in UFC Seattle, in which I thought he looked good for somebody that is making their UFC debut on a week notice. And no, I'm not going to say a weight class above him. He is a light heavyweight. But Alonzo Menafield was a ranked opponent. Julius Walker stepped in, gave him a fucking run for his money, but he was really gassed. The conditioning was a problem in that fight. So I thought, you know, if he has a full camp, access to the UFC PI, nutritional, you know, supplies, everything like that, that Julius Walker would look a lot better, in which he did. He did start to gas out at the end of the second in the third round, but, you know, I think that'll get better for him. I don't know why they I guess they gave him a 10-8 round. I don't remember a 10-8 round. Julius Walker looked good. Raffael Cerqueira was a tough opponent for him. I thought Raffael won a round. Maybe I'm not thinking clearly. I think this fight was a little bit closer than what it looked like. There were some moments where he had Julius Walker wobbled. But Julius Walker was dominant on the feet. He had a lot of control time this fight. He mixed in the takedown attempts very well. You could see he was 6 for 10. He mixed them together very well. Went to the body, attacked the legs, landed a lot of shots in the head, and landed a lot of shots when he had the grappling control, which is key. A lot of fighters don't know this. Anthony Hernandez put on a goddamn clinic in the main event on how to do ground and pound. If you're if you're a fighter and you want to learn how to do actual ground and pound and not just control time, watch Anthony Hernandez's fight against Roman Dolidze. That was an absolute clinic, a masterpiece. But we'll get there when we get there. Julius Walker looked really good. I'm going to say his actual UFC debut. He did great. He looked great. His gas tank was a little bit weary at the end of the fight there. That's something we could work on and get better at. But Julius Walker is going to be a great prospect in the light heavyweight division. I think he needs a few more fights before we give him a ranked opponent, maybe a fight or two. And if he takes care of business, get him back in there. Get him back in there. We'll move on to the main event. The main card, Eryk Anders taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. This fight was over in the first round pretty quickly. Eryk Anders just was outmatched on the feet. He did have a takedown attempt here. Well, he had a few, but he did have a takedown with a little bit of control time. Just could not keep Christian Leroy Duncan down. Duncan is so good on his feet. He's a very talented striker. Obviously, that's his bread and butter. He's going to want to stay on his feet. Eryk Anders took him down pretty easily, so not that his takedown defense is lacking. He did shug off 2 of those takedown attempts, but he's a great striker. Finished Eryk Anders in the first round with a spinning elbow and then followed it up, sitting him down. Made Eryk Anders sit down, squat, and take a shit. That's what it looked like. Great win for Duncan. Not much else to say. It was a round 1 knockout. I got the clip behind me. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll move on to the next fight. Miles Johns took on Gene Matsumoto. Before I break this down, if you don't mind, just give me a thumbs up. It helps me out a ton. All you got to do is just go down, click a button. That's it. That's all I ask for. Leave a comment if you disagree with any of my breakdowns. or you got an opinion on that Cody Brundage fight. I'd be very curious to get what you guys think about that. Miles John, Gene Matsumoto. This was a great fight. This was it not a split decision? Okay, it was a split decision. I was gonna say this fight could have went either way. Let me replay this in my head. Miles John, Gene Matsumoto. Miles John did start off the first round, not the beginning of the first round, but he was the first to initiate the grappling exchanges. He did get a nice takedown on Gene Matsumoto, I believe at the end of the round. I could be mistaken. These guys were pretty balanced on the feet. I think as the fight went on, Gene Matsumoto looked a little bit more crisp on the feet. His shots were a little bit cleaner. Now, he was missing a lot of shots. I mean, he landed less than half of what he threw. But that'll get better. He's only 25 years old. It'll get better as he gets more experience. Miles Johns is a great UFC veteran to get that experience from. And this was a great win for Gene Matsumoto. It's really going to level up his game in the future. I thought Miles Johns looked great as well. But yeah, he couldn't keep Gene Matsumoto down when he did take him down. And yeah, Gene's jiu-jitsu was really good at neutralizing Miles Johns' wrestling, and he was busier on the feet. I want to say he landed a little bit of some strikes from the top position on the ground. He did have about a minute of control time, but it's a little bit fuzzy. It's a little bit blurry. I'm not sure why. Great win for Gene Matsumoto. It was a great fight. I'm really pleased with Miles Johns' performance as well. I don't think this fight made either guy look bad, and this could have been fight of the night. Not sure why it wasn't. You know, you're going to have to ask the UFC that. We'll move on to one of the only underdog wins we had of the night, and we picked this one correctly. Andre Fili took on Christian Rodriguez. We had a lot of split decisions tonight. He got the job done via split decision. You could see here, apparently he got outstruck by Christian Rodriguez. It didn't feel that way. It felt like Andre Fili was in control. It felt like his strikes landed harder. Christian Rodriguez, his eyes were swollen going into the second round. We saw a little bit of blood going into the third round. Andre Fili looked pretty clean at the end of the fight. Yeah, he had us. Both guys had some control time. Andre Fili mixed in the takedown attempts well with the striking. But yeah, I thought he looked really good all around. I gave him rounds. Oh man, what was this? I did give Andre Fili. I think I gave Andre Fili all 3 rounds, but I said I wouldn't be surprised with the takedown that Christian Rodriguez secured at the end of the first if they wanted to give him the first round. But I thought Andre Fili won the first. I thought he won the second. For sure won the second, and I thought he won the third. I thought one judge got this correctly, but I'll take a 29-28 decision. I don't know who gave Christian Rodriguez the 29-28 decision. Like I said, you could have given him the first round, but I don't think he got the third round, so that was bold. But great win for Andre Fili. Glad to see him back in the win column. Glad to see he avenged his mama. Didn't avenge his hometown, but he avenged his mama. And yeah, Andre Fili's back in the win column. He is the better of Melquizael Costa's children. As you know, as I said in the previous video, if you missed it, Andre Fili and Christian Rodriguez, both of their last losses were Melquizael Costa. But Andre Fili is the better child of Melk. So we'll move on. Women's strawweight fight, Iasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill. This is the only other fight I got wrong on the card, aside from the Cody Brundage robbery fight. I went with Angela Hill, in which she was completely dominated here. 30-27, Iasmin Lucindo was the right decision. You should have went with the 23-year-old to beat the 40-year-old woman. Who told you to not pick the 23-year-old to beat the 40-year-old woman? Because that guy's a dumbass. Iasmin Lucindo looked really good, though, with all seriousness. She was really busy. She looked better than Angela Hill on the feet and the striking. I thought Angela Hill would look better than she did on her feet, but, you know, 40 is just a number, I guess, right? That's what they say. She did mix in the takedowns, but wasn't successful with any of them. You see, Angela Hill was 0-5 for takedowns. Iasmin Lucindo was 3 for 7. Had over a round worth of control time. Iasmin Lucindo, and that was mainly the last round. She just had Angela Hill on her back, just waiting for the fight to be over. But yeah, she was dominant. She was dominant everywhere. When she wanted the fight to go down, she'd take the fight down. When she wanted to strike, she'd beat the shit out of Angela on the feet. She was really smart. She did what she had to do to win, and it was a very respectable win over a UFC veteran like Angela Hill, who I believe has the most wins in strawweight history. So great win for Lucindo. Angela Hill, she looked bad that fight. You can't cut her. You know, if she wants to retire, she'll retire. I think she still has another 1 or 2 left in the tank, maybe. We'll see. Maybe when that record gets closer to 18-18, it'll be time to go. We'll see. I love Angela Hill, though. Can't hate her. She's got good energy. She's just really, like, not an unlikable person. So, Iasmin Lucindo look great. You got to give props when props is due. And she's won 5 of her last 6. So, we'll move on to next fight, co-main event. I believe Steve Erceg took on Odi Osbourne in a much closer fight than what was expected. I believe Steve Erceg was like a -500 favorite. Odi Osbourne taking this fight on short notice. Steve Erceg going up to the bantamweight division. There were a lot of variables this fight. First round, we'll start with the first round. Odi Osbourne took that first round. You just can't say otherwise. He was crisp. He was fast on his feet. As the fight went on, his striking slowed down a bit, and that's when Steve Erceg was able to really catch on here. He did get outstruck, which was interesting. Steve Erceg getting outstruck just by about 8 punches, but 8 strikes. But what was the story of this fight with Steve Erceg's ability to mix in his takedown attempts? Just like with a lot of the other fighters on this card that did well. It's like a trend. It's like you're starting to get something here. It's like fighters that mix in their takedown attempts well with their striking combinations do well. That's what Steve Erceg did here. He's not typically known for his grappling, which I really like to see him bring this out. I like to see him, exploring his journey as a fighter, figuring out what works well for him, how his style can be improved, and mixing in the takedown attempts in between boxing combinations, the level changes. It was beautiful. Steve Erceg got knocked down hard in the first round. I thought he was going to get finished by Osbourne, but he bounced back. After losing the first round, he did exactly what he needed to do the next 2 rounds to get the win. And those are the types of things that you need to see from future champions. You need to see an ability for them, to be deep in the water and to come back, to come back for air. Like Steve Erceg looked phenomenal. A lot of champions you could recall on moments in their career when they were moments from being finished or down in a fight and coming back, maybe getting a needed knockout or finish, submission win, or just come back and winning the remainder of the fight like Steve Erceg did here. Great win for Steve Erceg. Odi Osbourne looked really good too. He looked a lot better than I thought he would look. I thought he would get finished by Steve Erceg. I was wrong about that. I was right about Steve Erceg winning. So it was a great fight for Steve Erceg. Great fight for Osbourne as well. Both of these guys, this fight doesn't make either of them look bad. In my opinion, it rises the stock of both of these fighters. So I'm going to keep a close eye out for who they give Osbourne next. I want to see this guy fight again. He looked great. And I want to see Steve Erceg. I want to see how his game evolves in the future. I mean, his takedown attempts, I'd like to see him do some work with Craig Jones, maybe. Get Craig Jones in this guy's camp. I mean, why wasn't Craig in his camp? I would have heard about it. Why isn't Craig involved? Get Craig Jones involved with Steve Erceg here. Let's make him, an insane level of grappling, like jiu-jitsu. Get Craig Jones involved. Let's get this wrapped up with the main event here. Roman Dolidze, Anthony Hernandez. This was a fucking beatdown. This was a beatdown. I don't remember seeing this bad of a beatdown in a main event in a while. And there was like a round 1 knockout last week, I believe, with Tatsuro Terra, on a short notice against, Hyung Sung Park was taken on short notice, but still, like, Hyung Sung Park, he got knocked out, but he didn't get his fucking ass beat for 4 fucking rounds. And Anthony Hernandez landed 3 times as many strikes as Roman Dolidze did. His grappling game is so fun to watch. If you're a UFC fighter and, if you're an MMA fighter in general, if you like MMA, you can wrestle, you can grapple, you can have the ability to keep your opponent down. That's cool and all. A lot of people have that ability. But what can you do with it? That's really the question. And Anthony Hernandez shows you what you can do with it. When you get a guy down, control his wrist, get him in a good position, settle in for a couple seconds, land some fucking elbows, dude. Throw some fucking punches in his face, dude. Anthony Hernandez knows how to do it. I'd say most of those strikes were on the fucking ground. Anthony Hernandez, like, getting Roman in turtle position, getting Roman scared to look back, scared to move up, just throwing knees, standing back up, posturing, fucking throwing punches, landing elbows, getting back in the position, taking him down, letting him up. Just fucking get up, dude. Get up. Like, it was a clinic. Beat the shit out of Roman each and every single round. It was a very effortless rear naked choke that he got on Roman Dolidze, just dropping him. Didn't even have the hooks in around the body. Just snatched the neck. Just like, give me that fucking shit, dude. Anthony Hernandez could be a champion. All right, there is talks he is going to be at UFC 319 in Chicago next week. So he is officially the backup for the main event of Hamzat versus DDP, which is exciting. Anthony Hernandez is insane. He asked for a title shot. I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve a title shot after that. I don't care if he's ranked 10, ranked 15, ranked 5. After a performance like that with the run that he's had, he deserves everything that's coming his way. Like I said, if they announce he's getting the title shot next, I'm not going to complain about that at all. But what would I like to happen in a perfect world? Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, give him Renier de Ritter. Give him RDR for the next title shot. All right, we have Barallo and Imavov in a couple weeks. Obviously, winner of that, it's the #1 contender. But after that person, the winner of that fight, gets to fight for the belt, I want Anthony Hernandez, RDR, the winner of that fight, to be next. Just, they deserve it. You know, it's a changing of the guard. You know, we're losing on Asanya. Strickland's probably not going to be hanging out around the top for much longer. We'll see. Man, I might be wrong about that. But, it'd be nice to get an American contender up there. It'd be nice to get an American middleweight champion again. And it'd be nice to just let some of these newer guys that are working their way up, that are beating ass, busting their ass, like RDR, Anthony Hernandez, Imavov has, Barallo. Let some of these newer names get their digs at the title. Since they've been busy and they're fighting like Anthony Hernandez, I have no words. I'm just this guy just beat the fuck out of Roman Dolidze. A lot of people were going with Roman too. I think the MMA guru went with Roman Dolidze. That's probably why he's been acting all butthurt after the card, but great win for Anthony Hernandez. I am just very impressed. Like, this guy is really on another level. The way he mixes it all together. He's scary to strike. Watching this guy strike is scary. He's going to murder somebody. And his grappling's, better. It's fucking crazy, man. It's fucking crazy. Before I wrap this up, there's a bingo card update. So, this is the Fight Guys bingo card. If you haven't heard of it, you can find it on my Twitter. You can go check the earlier videos in my channel. But I created a bingo card of what I thought were very unlikely, events to happen in the UFC in 2025. But you can see here, I fucking made the bingo card a little bit too easy. So what we had tonight that we haven't had so far this year is the body slam knockout with Elijah Smith. So we got to cover up that space. That puts me one space closer to having to spar a professional fighter, which I really don't want to do. As long as a fight breaks out in the stands, shit. That's all that has to happen in the next 4 months. That sucks. That sucks for me. At least you're not me. This is the Fight Guy. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a thumbs up. Share it. Comment on the video. It helps me a ton. It really does. It takes you less than a minute. Less than a minute of your time. How many minutes do you waste in a fucking day? How many minutes do you waste in a day? You can't give me one? Says something about you. Says a lot more about you than it does about me. Thank you so much for watching. I will have a prediction video for 319 in the next day or two. I'm going to be traveling. It's a busy week, but I'm going to get it done. Because that's who I am. Good night.